So welcome back students. So today we are going to go ahead and in fact we are going to just revisit some of the clause that we have, some of the commands that we have learned previously. So today again I'm going to talk about the clauses that was like how to apply constraints. And if you remember, we had taken few of them. That was the check, the unique. So these were the two constraints that we had taken earlier, and there were few others. But today I'm going to talk more about the unique and the check, and what exactly is the difference between having a field as unique and having a field as a primary key. For example, let us just create a table first. So I am switched to my database, and now I will create a table. So I will use the create table clause. So create table, and then the name of the table I'm going to give as student, then the opening bracket, enter, and then I will give something like ID, which is going to be my primary key. But before making this as a primary key, I'm also going to keep this as auto underscore increment. Okay, so I'm going to keep this as auto increment, then give a space, and then I will say a primary space key and then a comma. Okay, so you can just see the rules, the syntax, that is ID, that's the name, and I just forgot myself, that is giving the data type, that is integer. So ID is going to be of the data type, that is integer. It is going to be an auto increment, which will mean that we do not have to give any value in this particular ID, since this is a primary key, and if it is a human is going to feed it, then there is a chances of having some errors. So that is auto increment, and I'm going to set that as primary key and then followed by comma. Then let us press enter. Everything is done with the ID, and the next field that I'm going to give is the roll underscore number, and this is going to be a integer data type, and then a comma. Then I'm going to give something like name, that is the name of the student, and now you can use that is a varchar, or you can only use char. Okay, now the difference between having a varchar or a char is the varchar is basically, if you assign some around 100, the characters the for the field that is name. So, and if you really only use 20 out of that, okay, for example, if I give a name of a student, and the name is only of 20 characters, so the 80 characters won't go waste, only 80 characters will be allocated for that particular field. And if I make this a char, so the difference is that if I allocate 100 and I use only 20, still 100 characters are allocated for this particular field. But this is a very simple kind of data type as compared to varchar, because that is a more of a complex one. So it's okay, you can use varchar or char, it will not make much of a difference over here. Then I can give comma. So I've just come up with the field name, that is name. The data type is char, and that is 100 characters I have allocated. Okay, so now let us move ahead, and now we will give the class, and class I can keep the characters as 20 max to max, and then comes the section char as 20. Okay, let us give a date as well. I mean the date of birth, I mean to say. So the date data type, so I'm going to say DOB, that is date of birth of the student, and I will give this as date. So that is a date data type. Okay, so now what we need to do is, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to apply some constraint. The first constraint that I'm going to apply is check that roll number should be greater than 0, and that makes a lot of sense because roll number cannot be 0 or less than 0. So that is one of the check, one of the constraint I'm going to apply. And then next that is going to come is something called as unique, which we have learned before. Now unique is something means if I keep this as unique, so whatever I specify as unique, so I cannot have duplicates. Okay, if I specify something as unique, so that particular field cannot have duplicates. Now the question is, then what is the difference between a primary key and a unique? So that is a question that will arise in your mind, because primary key will also keep every the things will be unique. If I define a particular variable or a particular field as primary key, so that particular field will only have unique numbers, we cannot have duplicates. Similarly, if we keep that as unique, still it is going to have unique numbers, we cannot have duplicates. Then what is the difference between a unique and id? So id is anyway a primary key which a table is required to have. So every table will have a primary key, and unique is something that is used as a constraint, is a condition. For example, I'm going to apply a condition over here, and I'm going to say that roll number comma class comma section, this should be unique. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. So I'm telling to the database that the roll number, class and the section will be unique values. Okay, now the working of this, just in a few moments you're going to come to know. After we try to feed the data, once we start feeding the data, you're going to come to know the working of unique, how it works. Okay, now what happens over here, everything is done, I guess. id is integer, roll number is integer, name as char, the class as char, section as char, date of birth is date, check, everything is done. That is roll number should be greater than 0, and then I have specified the constraint, that is the unique constraint, that is I'm applying it on roll number, class and section. So I'm applying that unique all together. So together roll number, class and section will be unique. This is what it means. So now I'm going to close and give a semicolon, and I hope everything goes fine. Otherwise we have to type in everything again, but most probably it is going to work. So it has worked. Okay, so the next step, if you really do everything right, it is anyway going to work. If you do not follow any rules, it is going to give you an error, and it is very important to come up with errors also. Only then you are going to learn. And I'm particularly taking this into the command prompt mode, because this is going to make you just memorize your syntax properly, so that you will not make any mistakes during the exam. So do not use the workbench, because then you just get the job done quickly, and then you will not focus on the syntax basically. So please go for this command prompt and start working on this. Now I want to see the structure of my table, so I'm going to say that is this DESP. Okay, DESP, if I'm not wrong, that is to describe. And the name of the table, I'll just check. Name of the table is student. Okay, so okay, I'm just checking for this describe. So it will be, that is DESC, I guess. DESC, and then I get student, and you can see. So this is going to display the structure of your table. Okay, DESC, again I repeat, DESC, and then you have to give as student semicolon. So it is going to give you the structure, what is the definition, what is the table exactly, the definition of your table. Okay, so you can see the id is int, and null is no, because it is a primary key, so null is anyway not allowed. And I did not specify anything that it should not be null or something of that sort. So null is allowed, so you can apply that as well. And it is also, id is also an auto increment. Okay, so now let us try to feed some data. We will try to feed some data. So I'm going to use, that is insert, and insert, then into, then the name of the table is student, and then I need to specify the fields, because I'm not going to give directly values, because id I do not give, I do not need to give any value for ID, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the fields. So I'm going to say roll underscore number, comma, so name, comma, class, comma, section, comma, and the DOB, that is the date of birth, and then followed by values. So I hope everything is right, the syntax is right. And then I'm going to give the values. So just give the values for the roll number. Roll number will be 1, name will be a J, the class will be 8, and section is A, and then I'm going to give the date of birth. Now date of birth, you have to give it in the format that is 2000, that is a year, first comes the year. So I'm going to say 2002, then minus, that is the hyphen, and month I can specify as 2, and date as 14. So that's the format, okay? And then I'm going to give a semicolon. So let me just check, is everything right with this thing? That is okay, everything seems okay to me. So insert into, okay, and let us give, so yes, it has worked. So it says that one of the row has been fed. So let us check the data. So I will say select star from student, and then a semicolon, and here it is. This is the table. Let me just clear the screen, and once again I will select the records from student, and here it is. Okay, so everything went fine. Now let me just do something, and you can see that the ID is automatically 1. We did not give any value to the ID, but since I have kept that as auto increment, so it is going to automatically feed the value into the ID, and ID is our primary key. Now let us try to feed some new record. So I will say insert into table, sorry, that will be student, and again I will specify the fields, that is roll number, name, class, and section, and the date of birth, okay, DOP. And now everything is work fine with the line. So insert into student, okay, seems okay to me. Then I will give the values. Now the values that I'm going to provide over here is, I'm going to give roll number as 1, okay, and name I'm going to provide as Vijay this time. Okay, so the name is Vijay. Okay, before it was Ajay, but now it's Vijay. And class I'm going to provide as class 8, and section is A, and the date of birth I'm going to provide is, okay, I'll just give the same value, 04. Okay, I'll give 04 and maybe 01. Okay, then the semicolon, and let us give press enter, and now it has given some error. And if you read the error is duplicate entry for this particular combination is not allowed. Now children, let me explain the working of the unique. Now what we did, we had specified the roll number, class, and the section as unique. So which means that once the entry for the roll number, class, and the section, if you give that entry, so next time you cannot give the same entry. Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. Why does it make sense? Is because what I'm trying to do out here, I'm trying to give the same roll number to Vijay, who belongs to class 8 and the section A. I'm trying to give the same roll number, that is 1, which I have already given it to Ajay. Since Ajay also belongs to the same class and to the same section, it is not possible that two students can have same roll number, and that is how you can put the unique constraint into work. So it makes a lot of sense, children, right? But then you may come across with a, you may come across with a doubt, and you may say, okay, why can't we just make a roll number as unique, and then we can go ahead? Yes, we can make roll number as only roll number as unique, but then what is going to happen? So that is only for that particular field, which means if I give a roll number 1 to a particular student of any class or any section, then for other classes or for the other sections I cannot use the same roll number, and then there is a problem, right? So every class there is a roll number 1, right? From roll number 1 to roll number 40 or 45. So these are the same roll numbers that we have in every class. So I cannot just specify a roll number as unique. I need to combine it with the class and the section. So which means that the roll number, class and section together should be unique. So now if I try to feed the data, that is insert into student, then I specify the roll number, then the name, class, section, and DOB, and then the values. Now this time I want to give the same values except the roll number. So I'm going to give the roll number as 2 this time, and I'm going to say that as Vijay. Class is, okay, I just came to the next slide, no issues. Class is 8 and the section is A, and then I have one more, that is 2002 04 minus 01 hyphen, okay, and then the semicolon. Now if I press enter, and now it says that everything is okay. Now let me just select, okay, first I will clear the screen and then select all the records from student, and here it is. So now this has worked. So now that I have given the entry for roll number 1, class that is 8 and section is A, so already I have given roll number 1 to Ajay, which belongs to 8A. So I cannot give the same roll number to the other student, and this is what it means. And this is the exact working of the unique clause. So I hope, children, that this particular activity is very much clear to you. Please go ahead and please practice this. Okay, I'm going to keep it short for today, and tomorrow we are going to learn how to link two tables, and then we are going to learn about different joins. So tomorrow's class is going to be very interesting and very important as well. Do this activity right away after the class gets over, and then be ready for tomorrow. Okay, children, so that's it for today, children. Bye for now.